Welcome back, listeners, to the My Focus Inspire Me podcast. My name is Leonie Lam. I'm a career coach, corporate trainer, and speaker. We have my dear friend Ali with us today. How are you today, Ali?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Leonie. Thanks for inviting me on.
Our pleasure to have you here. So, Ali will be asking me questions today. I'll introduce him a little bit more in a moment, but I just wanted to highlight what we will be covering today. So, in today's session, we will be talking about anxiety in relation to job interviews. So, will first, when Ali asks me questions, give an example of when I felt anxiety at work, and then go through strategies of how you can manage anxiety before and during interviews. So that's the topic for today. So Ali, how do I know Ali? Well, first of all, in terms of his background, he is a investor and he has his own investment business. And he's also a mindfulness practitioner like myself. I met Ali early last year, and in fact, true story, I met him on Zoom in a Buddhist community early last year, and I felt very connected to his mindfulness practices that I reached out to him, sent him a text message, and then connected. Um, we met in person, I think, for the very first time, September last year, from memory. And so in the past year, we've been, then he invited me to be part of his community on Tuesday nights. He's the lead facilitator in a Buddhist community, and we are currently exploring the book by Thich Nhat Hanh, Understanding Our Mind. So I just slowly show the image of the book on screen, understanding our mind and exploring this book together. I think it's going to be a few years that we're going through this book. So I really love Ali's presence and his mindfulness, his knowledge, his wisdom. He's my friend, he's my mentor. And so here today, we have an opportunity to listen to his questioning and my responses, and also an opportunity for everyone here to notice the way we communicate, and potentially, if you are comfortable, to then notice the mindfulness in this recording, to then make sure that when you turn up for a job interview, you carry that calmness, carry that confidence in the way you communicate. So Ali, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
um, Ali, I really one of the reasons why we are here right now is because one of my friends who has been listening to all my podcasts, so I published this also on Spotify. As soon as I click the publish button, he actually listens to my podcast immediately, and I've had published over 20 podcasts at least. So his name is Kwok Lai, Quoclai. I just want to give him a shout out because as soon as he listened to our first podcast together last year, he said, Leonie, you and Ali, you guys really should do one on anxiety. So here we are today talking about anxiety and job interviews. So I'll hand it over to you, Ali.
Cool. Thanks, Leonie. So I guess just to kick off, it'd be good to sort of get the ground base of what anxiety is. So can you help with that?
Yes. Yes. So what is anxiety? It's for me, it's when my fears are very high and my mind is scared of something in the future. So the fear, it may be a work event, which I'll talk about in a moment, a fear of rejection, that when I do the work, I might get rejected, a fear of the unknown, a fear of things going wrong, a fear of being really disliked, or maybe a complaint might be happening against me. So all these fears are overwhelming. So when the fears are so high, I noticed in my body, I get short of breath. I feel tightness in the body. And sometimes you feel like you can't breathe really. So it can be quite intense when you feel anxiety. So just that's probably my response to that first question. Thanks, Ali.
Yeah,
What do
good.
you think about anxiety? How would you describe it?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I guess it's I guess it's usually my expectation of what how the world might unfold mismatches with um, how I'd like it to go. So I might want a certain state, like, I don't want X, Y, Z to happen. And then as it looks like, wait, that might happen, this energy comes up, and that energy can be quite energizing. It can push you to do stuff, or it can be like you want to turn away and you want to run away in a different direction. So it's just this fear of, if the world goes in that direction, something bad, so it's going to be unpleasant or something bad. Um, yeah, so yeah, I think it's pretty universal. Uh, maybe before um, we talk about anxiety in relation to interviews, can you give an example of where you might have felt anxious at work?
Sure. I'm quite nervous. I'm quite nervous talking about this example because it's very personal and certainly a memory that I will never forget. It was in 2018, and one of my projects in my business was to deliver training to a group of individuals, and there were probably 20 people in the room. And when I deliver the training, these individuals are actually educators. So they are experienced trainers and assessors who work for a registered training organization. So I'm just going to use the acronym RTO for that. So the challenge is when you're delivering training to a group of people who are educators, they know how to deliver training. I was really scared, Ali. I was scared. I was feeling this fear that was overwhelming, and it was in my body. I was feeling fear of rejection, fear that if I deliver this workshop with these 20 people, I'll get a complaint against me. They'll be judging me. It was so overwhelming. At the time, I didn't know it was anxiety. I just felt so overwhelmed. And it was halfway through the project, and I had like that day didn't happen. This is the day before the day of training. I actually called a friend to talk to, and then I thought, well, I wanted to quit the project. I'm halfway through the project, and I really wanted to quit because it was just getting too hard. And then I thought, wait a minute, any job you do, there's always going to be a hurdle. There's always going to be a challenge. What if I continue on with this project and just apply some strategies so I can manage this anxiety and the problems I was thinking that it will happen on the day? So I called a a very experienced facilitator, speaker, and I actually asked her for help, and then I paid for her time, her services, and she coached me, Ali, to manage the problems that might occur in the workshop the next day. So she said, so what's your concern? What are you worried about? I said, I'm worried about the person who's going to challenge me in the workshop, and I don't have the skills to handle that person because they're all experienced educators. So then this coach, speaker, facilitator, she coached me and gave me some wonderful strategies to manage. And then my anxiety just, after that 1 hour with her slowly was reducing, and I became more calm. So that's what happened on the day before the workshop. My anxiety was so high. Yeah.
And how did it go? How did your workshop go?
Yes. So on the day of the workshop, I still felt really intense and like really, really stressed out. say I had that anxiety the next morning. I got so seriously terrified. I was living in Guildford that year. I I didn't even drive. I was thinking of driving. I caught a taxi from Guildford into the city where I was delivering the workshop because I wanted to manage my time and my energy and my fears before going into the workshop. Um, the workshop went very well, no issues. I even remember vividly that room I was in and how I managed the challenging participants in the room. So it was very, very helpful reaching out to an expert to coach me through the process. Yeah.
Cool. And so why do you think we feel anxious when there's a job interview, when we have a job interview?
Yes. So when it comes to job interviews, there's a couple of reasons why people feel anxious. And in fact, I was listening to our podcast again yesterday, and one of the things you said was that people's lives are on the line. Like they may be going for a job interview and this is it for them. Like, I need this job in order to pay the bills, in order to pay the mortgage. So people may be quite attached to trying to get, they want to win the job. So that's one of the reasons why people feel that anxiety. Another reason why people feel anxiety is those fears, as we talked about before, but in a job interview, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown, the fear of people you don't even know, like fear of public speaking. So many fears can all happen at the same time. So then anxiety's there in that moment. And just one more, I think, key reason why people feel that anxiety is how they think about job interviews. So it may be an experience they had, like the first interview they had in their life as a teenager was a really bad experience and they remember that. Or it is that they think of a job interview and I think of it's an exam. I'm going into an exam and I'm being assessed. So if you're carrying all these perceptions of what a job interview is, it can really, activate anxiety within you. So that's some of the reasons.
Mm.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's yeah, makes a lot of sense. I guess uh when I think of, being in those situations, I think there's, as you said, like quite a few different types of situations which are quite similar. Uh, it goes back to I wish for the world to go in a certain way, and there's a chance that it won't go that way. And then underneath, sort of unspoken, is this fear of if it doesn't go that way, then bad things will happen. And those bad things could be often when I look at it, it's tied to my like sense of self. So in terms of a job, it might be to do with money. So uh, being a good, um, being able to support my family is important. And then that would bring that into question. I failed. I've not been able to be a good partner, father, dot, dot, dot. Um, or it could be around uh, success. Like, I am someone who is good at XYZ. And then I'm getting a signal back that that's not true because I've not been able to pass, get the offer for the job. And and if I've defined myself, say, through being a good investor, and then I'm not successful in being recruited, then, or in winning the job, then I might feel like I failed. Uh, and so I guess then that sort of leads through strategies of like once you understand, okay, these are the roots of the anxiety. What are the things that I can put in place that help to address those causes? Which is, I guess, the next question. So back to you.
Thanks, Ali. I will definitely share some strategies, but I was so moved by your comments around the attachment that you have with the job interview, that if you don't get the job interview, then I might not be a good investor, that I might not be a good father. So that attachment to, like you said, the sense of self, that if the outcome of the interview is not positive, then therefore I'm incompetent, essentially what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's what that's what I'm hearing in your message. And that's very common across the board working with clients around that they're thinking. They think that way. It's like, if I get rejected in my job application, if I get rejected in the interview, then therefore I'm incompetent. And that is not true, right? That's because the I spoke very, very much on this topic recently with my dear friend Mai, and she said, so how do you coach people through that? I said, well, it's not your you that's being rejected. It's your interview on the day that is being rejected. It's not your resume or cover letter. It's not you getting rejected. It's your application that is getting rejected. So if we can actually differentiate between ourselves and the actual resume, cover letter, the interview performance, that's what's being rejected, not yourself, not yourself. So I just want to make that comment to what you say, because it was just brilliant. Yeah. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So strategies. Well, I just want to share a really nice example of how I coach somebody who had to change the way they think about a job interview, and it really changed the result. So for this video recording, podcast recording, I'm just changing the name of the individual. He's so close to saying his name, but his name is Patrick for this example. And Patrick works in a bank, and I was working as an external consultant coming in, delivering training and assessment for this bank in the CBD, Sydney CBD. And after working with this individual, Patrick, he said, I've got a job interview next week, Leonie, but I've got a photographic memory. I can read a procedure and I can remember everything word for word. But when it comes to the job interview, I just go blank. My anxiety is so high and I just struggle to communicate. And so I said to him, like I said, Patrick, let me give 5 minutes of coaching. Let me share with you a technique. And I said to him, reframe what an interview is. He had this idea of an interview being like an exam. I said, reframe what is an interview. I said, it's a business meeting, it's a conversation, see it as a team meeting, and just remind yourself, when you turn up to this interview, you're having a conversation. You're not selling yourself, you're sharing information about yourself. So he applied that. And then a week later, I saw him in the corridor of that building, and I said, did you get the job? And he's like, got the job. I got the job. Like, what happened? He said, all I had to do was reframe my thinking about what an interview was. And I didn't go blank, and I was able to have a conversation. So I share this story with all my clients because it's such a deal breaker to reframe your mind around what an interview is. So that's one that I can think of. There's a few more that I will refer to in a moment, but what are your thoughts about reframing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I think yeah, just this idea of makeup. There's a couple of things. The first one is I actually find this this thing of being open, transparent, just saying, here, this is who I am. This is basically this is what you will receive, just unaltered, um, is is scary to do because you might want to just put your best face forward and like just brush over things you don't know and exaggerate things that you do know. But I think that's in the like long term, it's not a good strategy to do it that way because you might end up in the wrong job. You might end up a mismatch of expectations. Whereas if you're open, honest, authentic, firstly, um, the chances of a mismatch are a lot less because they know what they're getting and you've been, clear. And secondly, um, I think you, when you're open, people can pick up that they can trust you. Whereas if you're putting on a face and keep on trying to push a certain point, there's something about it that I think people can pick up on that, and there's like a yuckiness to it. Um, and you might get the job, but I guess be careful what you wish for. Um, then the second part of that reframing is that it can like pull the rug from all of those emotions that can come up if you perceive things in a different way. And one thing like I like doing in life, not just in job interviews, is to view it more as like a lab where you're experimenting. You're experiencing through those experiences, you approach things, you respond in a certain way, and then it might lead to X, Y inside you. You might get angry or you might feel relaxed or whatever, and you just continuously iterate. So you approach an interview this way, and you find that it's actually extremely unpleasant. It's not a nice journey, and you're not getting the jobs or and it's like okay, let's try something else. Let's do it this other way. See what happens. And that like in a lab approach, there's no winning or losing. You're just running experiments. And if one works, then you go, okay, I'll keep going. You're just learning, you're just growing. Um, yeah, and I find that's a neat way to sort of slip away from that like that difficult world of feeling like everything's on the line. Yeah, so
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing it. I think it's being a what I've heard from what you just shared is around being really playful, see it as an experiment, and also the fact you said around being authentic. Because if you try to, some people say, make it until you fake it until you make it. I'm like, what? Like you make it, but then, like you said, it might be a mismatch. You get into the job and it doesn't work out. So really being authentic is key at any even in business conversations. When you're authentic, people will remember you and want to work with you. So certainly, thank you for your what you shared. um
can
yes,
I just one
yes.
more on the reframing is you can also reframe who you are or who you think you are. So I might think, if I don't get the job, I'm not going to get, the money's not going to come in. I'm going to fail as a father. Um, and I've had this conversation in the past with my wife where I've said, I'm really scared because of this. And so I'm almost created my own prison. I'm inside and I'm like, oh, and that prison is an identity of being a good father equals XYZ. And more than once, she's released me from that by saying, "What are you talking about? We know who you are, and we don't think of it that way." And these sort of constructs of in order, well, I am I'm an investor. It's just an idea, and now I've trapped myself in that through defining myself in that way. And if I let go of that, then I'm released and I can step into a situation and be more light and free as I engage.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. Oh, your wife need to listen to this new podcast. I'll just share two more strategies that's quite powerful in managing anxiety before an interview, Ali. And one is what I did in my example earlier that I shared, call a friend, call for help. And so in order to practice, in one of the programs I offer is called the Interview Success Program, where you practice interview. I conduct a mock interview, I provide feedback, so the client, you get to experience a real interview. And so most people have said that my interviews are pretty hard, but it's just because I've been trained up in the government way of recruiting, or not government, but both public, both private sector interview using a technique. So to practice and practice and practice, that helps you reduce anxiety. And the other strategy is simply to visualize, listen to a visualization meditation on how you think you're going to perform at the interview. So you start seeing it, like in sport athletes, they visualize to win the grand final in a game. Like, you've got to visualize that success. So one of the meditations I developed especially for job interviews is called the Job Interview Success Visualization. I'll add the links into the podcast video and audio recording in the content. But what I found through my network, and I'll shout out to Janet, hopefully you're listening, Janet, Janet Bros. She has been following me on all of my meditations, both on the interview skills. I also have one on presentation skills, like preparing for a presentation. And Janet works with students who are adults going for attending job interviews. And she told me that they have so much anxiety to the point where they won't turn up to the interview. They just feel so much anxiety that they just can't attend. They won't show up. So then she's introduced them to listen to the meditation, and she said it really helps them reduce their anxiety and create that calmness that you need when you before going into an interview. So get interview coaching, visualization for interviews to prepare for an interview. So that's my some of the techniques.
Cool. Right. And what about in the interview? Sometimes, people can freeze, but also, like, I tend to start talking really fast. My brain, I just try and cover it up. I just da 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 da. Da. Any suggestions, if you do end up, if it flares up in the interview, what to do?
Breathe. Yeah, when I get that question a lot, Ali, what do you do when you go blank, you freeze, and I've got to remember to answer your specific question when you're going too fast, to remember to slow down. But essentially, when it comes to going blank, it's natural. First of all, it's actually quite natural for the body, the brain to freeze because you're overwhelmed. You're sitting in a room. There's two, three people in front of you. They're all looking at you. If you're not comfortable with eye contact, it can be quite confronting when everyone's looking at you. So to really be at ease with yourself, when you notice your mind going blank, it happened to me at an interview where I had my laptop there. Luckily, the question was, what are 3 things you can bring into the role? And I went 1, 2, communicated 2, and I forgot number 3. I'm like, I can't remember. I just went blank. I said to the interviewer, I'm so sorry. I've prepared for this interview. I cannot recall the 3rd point. My notes are right here. I just opened up my laptop and I said, oh, yeah, here it is. The 3rd point is whatever it was. So to being at ease with yourself, that it's okay that you forget and have your notes there so you can actually refer to your notes as quickly as possible to actually say that you've gone blank. But to your credit, Ali, in the last podcast, you said you were on the other side of interviews and you have found that when people are actually honest and just say that, that they can't remember, it makes them more more of a, I don't know, you kind of trust them a little bit more versus the candidate that is polished with the perfect answers. And is that, can you remember that?
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. No.
So in terms of speaking quickly, as you said before, is to have a visual cue to remember to slow down. So I love using visual cues in an interview. If you have a bottle of water, a glass of water, to train, if you know that you're going to be very fast, every time you look at that visual cue, whether it's a glass of water or a pen, it's and say, my wife just told me to slow down. Remember to slow down. So you have a user visual cue, attach the reminder to that visual cue. So in the meeting, you remember you need to slow down. You need to slow down. I think that's one small tip for that. And I'm just trying to remember if there's anything else I forgot to mention around when you go blank. I've seen candidates do this at an interview. They can't answer the question. They're like, they've gone blank. They've no idea. And they said, is it possible if we skip this question and we can come back to it later? And so I'm on the interview panel. For those of you who don't know, I also conduct job interviews, real interviews. And the panel will be like, yeah, sure, no worries. We can come back to that. But please remember, if you use that technique, to come back to that question, just in case the panel forget and you miss out on answering that question. So you can skip the question and come back to it, as long as the way you say it, ask politely, certainly, and respectfully, and skip that question, come back. So what else can you do when you go back blank? Refer to your notes, skip the question, make sure you breathe. Yeah, breathe throughout the interview. Yeah. On that note, let's just do a simple breathing practice together, 16 seconds together. Yeah, Ali?
Yeah.
So if you just follow my guidance for the first 16 seconds, the first round, and then the second round, we just do it in silence together. So to inhale, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3. And that's 16 seconds of breathing. So it's also referred to as box breathing. So to inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. And coach my clients to use this technique to prepare for job interviews. It's been well received. How are you feeling now, Ali?
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Any final comments you'd like to add to this?
Yeah. I guess for me, a lot of my experiences when I get like signals from inside of like anxiety or maybe irritation, or a lot of it is just a journey of self-acceptance. So I don't know, like you probably go for a job interview and there might have been, I don't know, 20 people or 10 people getting interviewed. Well, if there's one job, 9 people won't be receiving an offer. So it's okay. It's like finding ways to engage the world in a way that you're okay. with all outcomes. And it doesn't mean I don't have like an aspiration or an orientation. I would like to go in this direction. And like maybe getting that job is an important factor in being able to go in that direction. And so not receiving that job can be like a hindrance towards fulfilling your aspiration. But at the same time, like holding that lightly and gently. So if it turns out that for whatever reason, many factors that might be not in your control at all, it doesn't pan out, it's okay. Life will be okay. And uh the job interview is like one component where that can sort of come alive. Yeah,
I love that. Like just being at ease. If you are not considered for the role, there's definitely other opportunities out there. And so be easy on yourself is my favorite word in the last few weeks. Phrase, be easy on yourself. And just in case, I got to give credit to our Zen teacher, Tuki Han, for those words, be easy on yourself in the book. Thank you so much, Ali. I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you here, and I hope that all the listeners can hear the connection we have and the mindfulness in this, the calmness in this recording. And so everyone who's listening, I've already lined up speakers, our guests for next year in January. I have someone who's going to join us. I'll be interviewing them and another person in March. So I'm very excited about the upcoming podcast. And thank you again, Ali, for your time, your wisdom, your company, your friendship.
thanks, Leonie. Thanks for having me on, and good luck, anyone who's listening to this with your interview.
Thank you.
Bye.